a GARM 93 through 50 euro. And maybe you could debate about this. He says, talk about most Jews in positions of power having double citizenships and advocating for policies beneficial to Israel and detrimental to the good of their host countries. They should be treated as foreign agents, which is Garm's opinion there. L'chaim Magoys.
Should I start?
So, I mean, let me ask you this. You're pro-Israel, right?
Yep.
All right. Are you a citizen of Israel?
Yep.
Okay. How can you be loyal to two countries?
How can anybody be loyal to two countries? There are plenty of people that have dual citizenship of other countries.
Okay, there's plenty of people that have dual citizenship. How can you personally, how can you be loyal to two countries? Which will you choose if these countries come into dispute?
Well, maybe you haven't listened to me in the past, which is fine. As I said, I'm a nobody. You haven't heard of me yet. But I have been trying to actually get rid of my Israeli citizenship ever since I moved back here. I only declared it because I was working over there as a reporter for 10 years, and it was easier for my taxes to declare dual citizenship. I renounced it in 2013. It's just more of a process than I thought it would be. But I have no interest in maintaining my Israeli citizenship.
Okay, fair enough. All right. That's good. I'm happy for you. But what do you think about do you believe that there are individuals in the United States government? Now, you can say that this is not a valid point because of issues in my past if you want, but I mean,
I'm not going to talk about your past if we're talking about an issue.
Well, no, because before you literally said like anything I say is invalid.
You're the one who just brought it up again. Finish your question because I'm looking forward to answering it.
Okay, so do you think that there's an issue with individuals of dual and like, let's be honest, when we talk about Israel is the Jewish state. So Jews have a relationship to Israel, whether or not, they are citizens or not, on paper, there is an issue there. Can I ever trust a Jew in a position of power that they will be loyal to the United States rather than loyal to Israel?
I love what you just did there. I love how you tried to blunt what I was going to say by throwing something out there to just kind of describe that what you said was a lie. Because what you said is that there are people in the position of government that have dual citizenship. They actually don't. They would have to go to Israel and declare dual citizenship and accept it in order to do so, as they would have to.
Wait a minute, contingent. Dude, this fucking guy.
I didn't interrupt you. They would have to go over there and declare dual citizenship and accept it, as they would have to in Germany, as they would have to in almost all European countries, almost all South American countries, almost all Asian countries. Anyone who has that nationality can go claim dual citizenship and have it recognized by the United States. No one calls into question a German person's ability to stay loyal to America, because if they so choose, they can go to Germany and declare dual citizenship. You seem to think that because someone's Jewish and can go to Israel and declare dual citizenship, that makes them a dual citizen. It does not.
I didn't say
most of them would turn it down.
I literally didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You said even if it's not a piece of paper.
I said, yeah, that even if it's not a piece of paper, meaning even if they're not actually a dual citizen, do you think there's an issue with dual loyalties with Jews? No.
I don't.
All right, I disagree.
Okay, we can disagree on that one.
All right, so we have a super chat from the Southern Dingo, $30 US. How do you defend yourself against an attacker without using violence? The answer is simple. The rules are out the window when they're not playing by them. I think it's a reference to what Mike was saying earlier.
Just because, can you please clarify, because I didn't understand what you're saying, and I want to make sure I've got the point.
It's essentially the point that Mike was doing earlier, where he said, because Jews, in the way they proceed, they violate some rules, then we have not to apply some rules to them because they have violated these rules and they have implicitly consented into not playing the kind of game that the average citizen would play. Now, Mike, I wanted to
I think all of this is predicated on certain assumptions here. I think that like when we get into this realm where everything is this abstract premise and it's all about abstract rights and theoretically every individual, blah, we're not talking about the real world and how people really behave. The complaint against Jewish power is that Jews act effectively as an ethnic group. They have connections to each other. They promote each other. They're extremely nepotistic. They're ethnocentric. They have their own state. They have their own state, but whereby the things that are advocated for by Jews in the United States are effectively the exact opposite of what goes on in Israel. I mean, do you deny that? Would you agree with me that essentially Israel engages in policies that Jews in the United States lobby against, like a wall, like not allowing third world immigration, like sterilization of black people, like forcibly removing migrants, like having a state based on their own ethnicity. Do you agree that Jews have a double standard, have a dual loyalty, and have two ways of looking at things depending on whether they're talking about the United States and Europe or whether they're talking about Israel?
So, okay, I can answer that. You, in one breath, said that you believe that Jews all have this dual loyalty to Israel and to America, right? But at the same time, you're upset that they're advocating for policies here and not giving a crap about what's going on in Israel.
I don't say not giving a crap.
I don't believe for 1 second that the people who are here advocating for against a wall here are advocating for a wall there. They're not thinking about there at all. As it's
why aren't they advocating against a wall there, though?
Why should they? Why do they have to advocate against any
Jews,
foreign
right?
government?
Aren't they? I mean, do you ever read the Jewish Daily Forward, just out of curiosity?
Sometimes.
Okay, you're aware that, like, essentially, these are Jews that sit around and they talk about, what do we like? How do we reconcile these issues? The wall in Israel. How do we reconcile the fact that people continuously point out that there are policies that the Jewish community overwhelmingly advocates against in the United States? Israel is essentially a national socialist state, and we're supposed to believe that Jews are so against this idea. They're so against the idea of ethnic states, of ethnic solidarity, of walls, of security, etc. And I just don't buy it.
But you just literally answered your own question, though. The reason that there's a debate amongst American Jews as to why this can go on in Israel and not here. Wait a minute. Let me finish. The reason they're upset about it is because they have absolutely no power over Israel, and they wish they could advocate that Israel would do something about their wall or about their migrant policy or things like that, and they can't, because Israel doesn't give a crap what they have to say. They want their values of a no wall, their values of migrants coming in all over the place.
I don't see any evidence of that.
Well, how about you talk about Sarah Silverman's sister, the actress? She's over there right now in Israel. She just started an organization to keep all of the migrants in Israel that Israel is kicking out. So she is actually out there doing what you said. She's there in Israel advocating for the same thing she's advocating for here. The majority of American Jews have never been to Israel, know nothing about Israel, and the only thing they've ever heard about Israel is what they've read in the paper. They have no desire to go there and be a part of the political system. So they're upset that Israel seems to be speaking for Jews because it's a Jewish country, but at the same time, they're completely impotent in affecting Israeli policy. They're not sitting here saying Israel should be allowed to build a wall because after all, but America should not because of after all. What you're saying is exactly in line with the truth.
May I just ask, Mike, did he answer your original question at all?
Well, I mean, the issue is, it's like, okay, I personally am skeptical of what you're saying, that these Jews are so opposed to these policies in Israel. It's certainly, there is let's like, how about this? Let's like move away from this whole, like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to fucking trip you up. And let's talk about things in terms of how they really are. Now, Jews, I'm not claiming Jews as like a monolith. There's left wing, there's Mondo Weiss and all that stuff, and they claim some amount of consistency in being purely for left wing. My point is, one thing that can be counted on.
I'm losing you. I don't know if it's me or it's you. I didn't hear that part. I lost you.
Mike can start over a sentence.
I'm saying that I will acknowledge the fact of extremely like left wing Jews that do advocate against these things in Israel. However, fundamentally, the policies of Israel don't really concern me, other than to the extent that I see a great deal of hypocrisy amongst Jews for failing to criticize Israel when they consistently criticize the United States, when they consistently impugn the morality of white people in the United States that wish to have a wall, that wish to restrict immigration, that do not want masses of third worlders here. And in fact, I mean, you can say like, that this is like some fantasy, some whatever, but I mean, we see the Jewish lobby has in fact been responsible for many of the things that are detrimental to the interests of white Americans, including the 1965 Immigration Act, the wars for Israel, the consistent Zionist wars, the control of the media. I mean, the control of the media that is, now in the process of attacking and attempting to unseat a democratically elected president. I mean, this goes to the heart of the matter of Jewish power. that it essentially acts as a force that is detrimental to the interests of the people that it oversees. And fundamentally, I don't see a reason why any group of people should be required to accept over it essentially an oligarchy of another ethnicity that doesn't identify with you, that acts collectively while insisting that you act individually, and will not allow the ethnic identification. I mean, what's the one thing that always comes under attack? It's when white people choose to ethnically identify with each other, defend their rights as white people, and say, we would like our own country. We had a country. It has been taken from us through the systemic abuse of political power, the repression of our rights, the importation of millions of third worlders, things Jews would never put up with in their own country. This is a pattern. It's the Jewish question is not saying like every single Jew. Sure, you could probably find counter examples, but that's not the issue. The issue is that it is a pattern. It is a pattern recognition issue. We see Jewish power as being detrimental to our interests, and essentially your gripe is you should be required to extend the same rights to people that are attacking you that you enjoy, and I just don't see that. I don't see why I should say that Jews have a right to essentially use a system against me. I don't see why they have that right.
What I'm saying is that you keep saying things and then you throw in little tidbits of lies in order to make your point seem valid. You just said the 1965 Immigration Act, which was passed by Jews. How many Jewish senators were there at the time? 3.
Oh, so we're going into this thing, right? The only way to exercise power is to literally be sitting in office. There's no such thing as soft power, lobbying.
Well, I want to know if there's evidence that this was a Jewish thing, then I would like to see your evidence of the Jewish power that did it when there were 3 Jewish senators. Secondly, you just said that they're advocating for things in Israel when I just said, no, they are not. In fact, what they're advocating for in Israel is not a wall.
Again, show me the evidence of that. Show me the evidence of that. You show me the evidence of that.
Gladly.
Where? No, right now. Let's see it.
Okay, give me a sec. What they're advocating for in Israel is that Israel surrender its ancestral homeland to its mortal enemies. And
it's kind of like what they're advocating for here. All right, so then we have Jews that are consistent that people should surrender their homeland to their enemies. Wow, great. A great freaking argument for Jews.
No, I think that we should argue against those Jews, just like I said right in the beginning. And I don't understand why you're getting so upset about me agreeing with you that we should fight against Jews who are for giving away our homeland, for unfettered immigration, for advocating for any kind of communist thing. I said that from the very beginning.
The challenge to you is, if we're so much in agreement, then just advocate for what we're talking about.
You haven't advocated a single solution to anything, Mike.
All you do is
point out problems. You don't advocate for a single solution. There's nothing to join. You don't sit here and say, we should do this or we should do that. You just point out the problem and think that's good enough. That is a coward's way out.
HALSEY, but can't people criticize things, but not have a solution at the moment, but try to gather people to try and figure something out? Like, for example, like you're against SJWs, right?
Yep.
So a lot of them are in power or like media, for example, right?
Right.
Like, you criticize that. Do you have a solution to?
What's your solution?
You know what I mean?
What's your solution to the SJW problem, Halsey?
Right here. Right here.
And that's what Mike Enoch's doing, though.
But I'm saying, I have openly said from the beginning, I think the best thing that can happen to anybody who agrees with me is to let Mike speak. I think that Mike's supposed message is so abhorrent to the majority of people that hear it that I am going to win by default when people hear him open his mouth, and especially when people look further into him. That is how I feel that the battle is won. What he keeps saying is,
why do you think that? Why is the battle with me though? You said you wait. Wait, hold on. Why particularly is your battle with me?
Why is it? My battle is with all of you. You're just another one of them that I have a lot of. All of the leaders of the alt-right who are fraudulently trying to push this message that there's a Jewish problem that requires a genocide.
You just said there was a Jewish problem.
No, you do not only hear half the sentence. That requires a genocidal solution.
I never said that.
You consistently say gas them or put them in the ovens or do things like that. Yes, I understand. It's just all funny, right? It's funny when you say that you should put people in ovens when less than 100 years ago, they were put in ovens. And they were put in ovens by people that went out there and advocated that they were evil people. So if you're trying to tell me that there's nothing to be gained. You're not putting a solution forward. You're letting everybody who listens to you come up with some ideas of how they're going to fight this Jewish problem. I'm personally saying, I go out there and I expose these people the same as I expose
So what's your solution to but you're against SJW. Let's focus on SJW. So what's your
I
solution?
elected my solution.
Okay. I mean, all right, good job. I mean, that's okay, but they're still out there.
Yep, and they're always
so
going
what are
to
you
be
gonna
out
do?
there,
What are
just
you
like
gonna do?
Jews are always
They're
going to
also
be out
always
there,
gonna
and
be out
just like everybody else is going to be out there. What I'm saying is that I went out there, and for a year, I went out and promoted Trump and said Trump is the answer to what's destroying this country. I succeeded in many, many ways in influencing others to vote for him at a great personal cost, I might add. By doing so, I felt that I did my part, but I had a solution. My solution was to elect Donald Trump and to give him the Republican Congress that he needed to implement the policies that I saw I wanted. Your solution seems to be to just point out the problem.
Well, first of all, we supported Trump as well, but I mean, Trump has not ended all these issues.
You can't end an issue. You can only start to win it.
So
Okay?
so you're proposing an unreasonable standard on me, because you're essentially saying I have to come up with some solution like that.
I'm saying that you should come up with anything except for pointing out the problem. All you do is point out the problem. I'm saying that I'm advocating for the things that I want, and I'm going out there and I'm campaigning for politicians that are going to change things in the way that I hope they get changed. I'm out there criticizing when I think that they're doing something wrong, and almost every time I say what I believe they should be doing instead. When I heard that he was going to give DACA people amnesty, I went out there and said he should deport all of them, every last one of them, line them up on a bus and kick them over the border. That's a solution. Even if it's not realistic, that's what I would like to see. I pointed out the problem and then gave a solution that I would like to see. I'm not claiming that I'm going to get my solution. I'm claiming that that's the way I feel about it. You're sitting here pointing out a problem, but you're not saying any solution except for saying, look, I see hypocrisy. Well, welcome to the world, my friend. Hypocrisy is everywhere, in every race, in every color, in every creed. Just pointing it out does not make you a part of the solution. It makes you a part of, I want to say the problem, but it makes you more than the problem.
So here, it seems that HALSEY is asking for a legitimate question. He's pushing for a solution. Mike, if you had more than your microphone, what do you think could be done to reduce Jewish power over media, over finances, and over the American economy and democracy?
I would send them to Israel.
So your answer is to round them up and send them to Israel?
Yeah.
What if they don't want to go? They're American citizens. So what if they don't
What
want to go?
What if the Palestinians don't want to leave? Don't want to leave their land? What do the Jews do there?
They're not citizens.
They live there. You see, you're reducing it to an essence of a piece. What did the Jews do to the Palestinians that were on the land they wanted in 1948? What did they do?
Nothing. They encouraged them to stay. The Arab armies asked them to leave. That's why there's still a 30% Arab minority in Israel. They could throw them out at any time and don't. So I'm curious as to why you think
they did nothing. They did nothing then.
They fought a war against 8 countries that invaded them, who told the Arabs, leave, so when we kill all the Jews, you could come back and have your land 2 weeks from now, and then they lost. The Jews asked them to stay and not listen to the
Jews asked the Arabs
of the Arabs. Yes, sure. It's well documented.
Sure. Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is your answer to everything. Whenever somebody debunks what you're saying,
no one believes what you're saying. The Jews kicked Arabs off their land. This is not in dispute.
Sure it is. It's in 100% dispute what you're saying, because it's not true.
All right, let me get this from you then. In principle, the Jews should not have kicked Arabs off their land?
They didn't do it, so I'm not
No. I'm asking you, in principle, Jews should not kick Arabs off their land, yes or no?
I don't know. I'm not advocating for Israeli policy.
Okay. All right. Okay. No. But this cuts exactly to the heart of what I'm talking about, because you don't want to answer the question when it comes to your thing.
You're accusing me and didn't let me finish. Finish. If it came to my decision, if someone crowned me Emperor Scott and said, what is your solution in Israel? I would easily say, kick all the Arabs off, just like you did all the Jews. But I would also realize that I would have to do so violently and fight a war to do it. If you're encouraging that you think your people should pick up arms and do that, I encourage you to try, because you will lose, and you will lose badly. And that's what I would be happy with. So if you're saying that I'm being a hypocrite and a double
No, what I'm saying.
You're not. I'm selfless the same as I would expect an Arab to
All
fight
right,
for
so,
his
so
citizenship in
basically,
Israel.
you're a Jewish supremacist here. You're saying, I mean, now, can I
don't
ask you
need
a
to talk
question?
about being a Jewish
Did you say
supremacist.
this?
You're making that case, not me. You're the one saying I control the media, I control Hollywood, I control the banks, my country's lobby controls the government, I control immigration policy, and then you're saying, and you know what? You're acting like a Jewish supremacist. Do you realize how ridiculous that sounds?
No, it doesn't sound ridiculous at all.
Mike,
Yeah.
would you, like, if you wanted to kick all the Jews out, would you be willing to do it violently?
Sure, yeah, in theory, but the point is though that like this very conversation is an attempt to distract from essentially what we are saying. Now, you can always do this. You can always say, hey, you guys, what you ultimately want. I mean, here, Halsey was trying to get into a position where he had some kind of moral authority because he was going to get me to say, oh, you want to kick out the Jews. I think Jews should go to Israel. Israel is their state. Now, he doesn't want to talk about Jews kicking Arabs off their land because it kind of messes with his ability to take a moral high ground over a white person that says, I would like to live in a country where Jews don't live here, where Jews don't have power over me.
And he just made up what I said. I explicitly said that
so
given the opportunity, I
would
would throw Arabs out. I have also said that they have not thrown Arabs out. If they were so powerful, they would throw all the Palestinians right over the border and never have to worry about it.
That is a simplistic way of looking at power, dude. Like the Jews have kicked Arabs off their land, and right now they are engaged in a slow process of moving them across out of the West Bank. They've sort of slowly encroached on them in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Move some of them out. You get very very pro-Zionist Jews. Ben Shapiro used to advocate for this. Many extreme right-wing Jews in Israel advocate for this. They say we should round them up and kick them out. There are political hurdles to that. One is the Jews' images as victims in World War II would be tarnished by them doing something like this. This is a consideration.
Me personally, I would much rather have a Jewish state that's hated by everybody than an Auschwitz that's loved by everybody. Seriously, you're the one who's sitting here saying, oh, we would tarnish our image, so therefore we sacrifice our children in suicide bombings because after all, our image matters. That is nuts. And as I said, they did not kick Arabs off. They asked them to stay.
Why do Jews tolerate the Arabs then? Because they're so nice?
No, because they're just as crazy here when they're left-wing Jews in Israel as they are here. Why do Jews on the left wing and whites on the left wing and blacks on the right wing feel free and happy to have Muslims coming over the border and Mexican MS-13 members coming over the border? I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm saying it is what it is, and it's universal there and here. You're the one who's advocating that somehow Jews have a different opinion when it comes to Israel and when it comes to here. What I'm saying is left-wingers are crazy no matter where they are. They're destroying Europe, they're destroying Israel, they're destroying here, and you're trying to make it into a Jewish conspiracy as opposed to a left-wing conspiracy. I have said I would fight against the left wing regardless of their race, religion, or creed because I think they're wrong and I think they're dangerous for this country. You're the one who's advocating that it's a Jewish conspiracy because there's a lot of Jewish broadcasters at CNN. And what I'm saying is that you're great at pointing out specific instances of an overrepresentation and allowing others to draw their conclusions instead of pointing out the actual problem or any actual solution. You said to me, would you throw Arabs out of Israel? Yes, I would. The same consistent opinion I said that I would throw DACA recipients out of America. I'm the same one that I said I would be more than happy to build a wall. You keep saying, but Israel did. First of all, no one asked me back then. I wasn't even alive. So I can't sit here and say they did the right thing or didn't do the right thing. I just know they didn't do it. They asked them to stay. It was the Arab armies who said, get out of the way because we're going to kill everything in our path and we want you to retake the cities afterwards. That is what happened. That is the historical truth. And you're trying to make up the...
that doesn't seem to me to be the consensus historical truth. But
yeah, it seems also that you're making a play on the initiator of violence. But when the Israeli settlements occurred and throughout the history of Israel establishing itself, do you deny that there were acts of violence, act of depropertization against legal principles and against what we would consider to be a sense of property? Do you deny that there was ever a violent act in that process?
Number one, you just said two separate things, and I will address both of them. Number one, when the first settlement in the 1800s came and started reestablishing a Jewish presence in Israel, they bought every inch of that land with money from its rightful owners, who were the Ottoman Turks. There was no Palestine, there was no Arab government, it was the Ottoman Turks, and they bought the land. They then drained the swamps and turned it into a thriving place. After World War I, when the Ottomans lost the war, the British took control of it. The British were the governors of it. There was way more Arab violence against Jews than there was Jewish violence against Arabs. So no, I don't believe that the Jews violently took the land. They bought it, and then they built it, and they built it into a state. Mark Twain visited the Palestine in the 1800s and said he could go 10 miles in any direction without running into a single human being. The land was deserted.
Okay, so if it's really nice there, why don't Jews want to live there?
Some do, some don't. Some don't want to live in the Middle East. Some want to live in America. Wouldn't you?
Why should they be entitled to live in both Israel and America at their choice?
Why would you be entitled to live in wherever the hell you're from and America by your choice? Which is
I am only a citizen of America. America is my country. I only have one country.
And 99.9% of Jews only have citizenship here. They're not dual citizenship. They've never even seen Israel. If you're saying because they can go get it if they want it, so can you. And I don't understand how that.
What are you talking about? So can I? I can go. What is it that's equivalent that I can go get? I mean, look.
Where's your family from?
They're from multiple different European countries.
Okay,
I am ultimately from America.
So am I. So I'm wondering if I am ultimately from America, because my father's side of the family goes back to the pre-signing of the Declaration of Independence. My family has fought in every American war as a war leader since that day. And my mother's family came over in the 30s. So I am an American as well. I was born here. My parents were born here. I don't understand how that makes me less of an American. You can go claim you're Lithuanian or you're Slavic or whatever the hell your citizenship is wherever you want. Yes, you can.
I actually can't, but that's actually irrelevant to the point here. Again, the point here is I make a critique of communal Jewish power in my country. And this power causes a problem for me. It goes against my interest. It goes against the interest
what
of
is
other
your solution?
There is a number. I have told you I want Jews to go to Israel.
And I'm saying you won't get that. And if
so
you
what?
Want to, if you're advocating a violent uprising, that's fine. We will fight you and we will win. Not we as Jews, we as Americans. We as Americans, if you and your cronies decide that you want a violent uprising to expel all the Jews, we will fight and we will win. You will not. So if what you're advocating is for that solution, that's nice. You can advocate for a lot of pie in the sky solutions that won't happen. But what I'm saying is if you're advocating for a legal solution that's well within the system, let me have it. But if you're advocating for a violent uprising, fine, then we'll fight. And
what I am advocating for right now, see this again, it obscures the truth of what's really going on.
That's what you keep saying. I'm answering every single question you're asking, Mike. Every one I'm answering point blank.
Look, here's the thing. You said, what's my solution? I say Jews go to Israel. That's my solution. Now you're saying you don't advocate for anything, whatever. Fine. All right. Go to fucking Israel, dude. That's the solution. Get out. Go away. Leave us alone.
Country. They can live in their country just like
Why do they get two fucking countries?
Why do you get two fucking
countries?
That's what I'm curious about.
No white person is not only that, but Jews advocate for the tearing down of the borders of this country specifically so they can be comfortable here because they don't want to go live in their precious little ethno state that we pay for. I suffer and white people suffer because of the institutional power of Jews that work against our interests. This is a fact. This is an obvious fact in terms of media, politics, finances, foreign policy, everything. And you are saying that unless I have some perfect fucking solution where nobody gets hurt, then I should just shut up. That's ridiculous. That's an absurd standard.
I didn't say it. So,
but that's kind of what you were saying because you're saying you don't advocate for this. What's your solution? Give me a solution. Now you don't want to talk about it.
I told you to shut up. I told you to get a bigger microphone. I want people to hear what you say, Mike.
All right, then we don't really have anything to debate. You agree that there's a lot of Jewish power. You agree that
you want me to apologize for it.
I'm not asking you to apologize for anything. In fact, your Your demeanor here is very good for me, but
My demeanor
and the fact that the sort of putting words in my
look, Mike,
mouth.
I know that I can't win in the
unwilling
chat.
to actually.
I can't. Wait a minute. I know I can't win in the chat no matter what, because I'll tell you what.
Because
if
I'm
I
more
were to start
popular than you right now. The question is, you've acknowledged that there's a problem with Jewish. Is there a problem with Jewish power or not?
No.
But you said there was earlier. Are you going back on that?
I said there's a problem with left-wing power and that some Jewish groups are part of it and that Jews have power. I acknowledge that they have power. I did not know that there is a problem with strictly Jewish power. I never said that once.
Right? It's not simply the left, because the right-wing Jews now, you might be the super MAGA guy, build the wall, deport them all, whatever. That is not the tendency of right-wing Jews. Right-wing Jews overwhelmingly are neoconservatives, and they act in the realm of foreign policy. They're very interested in expanding the U.S. war machine, increasing wars against countries that, as far as I know, never did anything to us. They want agitation against Iran. They want agitation against Russia. They want to do this stuff because of the geopolitics involving Syria, etc. These right-wing Jews are acting against my interest as well. So my critique is not merely of the left. My critique is not merely left.
Your critique is against policies you don't like, which is fine. I also have policies,
but these policies I don't like are specifically connected to Jews and Jewish power.
You don't believe that Christians feel that Iran is a problem? You think that's only a Jewish thing? Do you?
I
want you to answer the question.
Well, this is where the issue
of white people do not have a problem with Iran, and that white people just want to hug with Iran, because I saw a hell of a lot of white people out there advocating against the Iran deal. When you're sitting here saying, no, it was just Jews and Jews were pursuing their own policy. I never said it was
just Jews. I am saying the policy comes from the policy advocacy and the media control that advocates and gives these messages to white people. Again, white people.
So you're saying white people are stupid?
No. Look, do you agree that controlling the media means you can control a message to a large population, get your narrative out there?
I think they have influence in the media.
Do you believe that the media can convince people that are intelligent of a narrative?
Yep.
Okay, so then I don't think white people are stupid. I believe white people have been convinced of narratives that are not necessarily in their interest. I want to fight against those narratives. And I believe those narratives are coming from very powerful and wealthy Jews that are advocating in Jewish interests.
And what I'm saying,
and I believe they're advocating because they are Jews.